Quadrilaterals, Unit 4, Section 2, Video 1. In this section, we're looking at some 7 specific quadrilaterals and figuring out what exactly defines those quadrilaterals. Now, you've probably heard of all these quadrilaterals before and would recognize them and be able to draw them, but when we're writing proofs, we need to know exactly what defines these quadrilaterals. So our first quadrilateral is a trapezoid. And what we know about trapezoids is that they have one pair of parallel sides. And it's kind of obvious in this picture that it would be these two sides are parallel. And one thing to know about trapezoids is that to call which sides are parallel and which sides aren't, we call these two sides that are parallel, we call those bases. And then these other two sides that are not necessarily parallel, we'd call legs. So that'll come in handy when we're looking at the isosceles trapezoid, which is obviously a more specific kind of trapezoid. And what we know about isosceles trapezoids is that they also have one pair of parallel sides, and we know the base angles are equal, and legs are equal. So if we were to mark up our shape here, just to zoom in a little bit, it would mean that we know that those two sides are parallel. Our base angles, which we know our base is the parallel sides, so if the base angles are equal, it would mean that this angle is equal to that angle right up against our base, and then this angle is equal to that angle. And our legs are equal. And remember, our legs are our non-parallel sides, those other sides. So we would know that this side is equal to that side. So that's what defines a trapezoid and an isosceles trapezoid. So it's saying if you know something's a trapezoid, you instantly know that there's a pair of parallel sides. And that's exactly what defines. On our next page here, we have 5 more quadrilaterals, which we're going to figure out what defines these quadrilaterals. So first we have a kite, and a kite has 2 pairs of consecutive, so one right after another, equal sides. And so if we look at our picture, we can kind of see for this side, it looks like the one right next to it that's equal would be that side, and then for this side, the one right next to it would be equal as well. So that's what defines a kite. If you have a figure that has 2 pairs of consecutive equal sides, you know it's a kite. For a parallelogram has to have 2 pairs of parallel sides. So that's to say, if this side is parallel to this side is also parallel to that side. If we're going to mark that shape up, it's to say that those opposite sides are parallel. A rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. So that's to say that we instantly know it has 2 pairs of parallel sides because we know it's a parallelogram. And we also know it has 4 right angles. So if I was going to zoom in a little bit, it's to say that all of these angles are right angles. So that's what defines a rectangle. A rhombus is also a parallelogram. With this time it has 4 equal sides. So we don't necessarily know anything about the angles, but we know that once again there's 2 pairs of parallel sides. And this time we know that there's 4 equal sides. And since these are quadrilaterals and they all have 4 sides, we know all the sides are the same length. So I know that looks like a lot of marks, but we're just showing we have 2 pairs of parallel sides and that we have 4 equal side lengths. And our last shape is the square, which is actually once again a parallelogram. And this time it has 4 right angles and it has 4 equal sides. So it's like the most specific of the quadrilaterals because it includes the properties or the definitions of a parallelogram, a rectangle, and a rhombus. So if we were going to label this square, I'm going to make it bigger because we have a lot of things to write on it, we would say it's a parallelogram, so it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. It has 4 right angles, so I'd mark each of those to be 90 degrees, and it also has 4 equal sides, so that's to say that each of these sides is the same length.